One thing that we're trying to do here at Acting is Business is to retrain the way actors think. And think about their careers, think about the future. Today I want to tell a story that had I taken that advice, things may have gone a lot differently for me. Perhaps the worst thing an actor could be is being stubborn and not listening to reason. I'm going to tell you about a conversation that I had with the artistic director of the Dillard School of Performing Arts in Fort Lauderdale, where I went the last 2 years of my high school. And you may be wondering, what does high school have to do with a real career? Well, it helps you build your foundation. And because I didn't listen to reason, I had no foundation and I had no career as I look back for almost 40 years now. So this artistic director was a young man, and I do mean young, he was only 28 years old at the time, named John Gillespie. Well, I started getting roles right from the beginning and developing a reputation as somebody who could be relied on. The problem I had is that I was getting the same type of roles over and over again. So I became the resident character actor in all the character roles. And quite frankly, I was tired of it. Instead of being grateful for the roles I was getting, that was going to help me develop into a character actor with a long career ahead of him. No, I didn't look at it that way. I wanted to explore different avenues, different types of parts. Not necessarily the lead, although that would have been nice too, but just different types of characters. I just wanted to be able to see what I could do and what I couldn't do, to be able to stretch myself. That's normal. That's a normal feeling for any actor. Any type of artist wants to stretch their artistic muscles. Now, the thing that we do here at Acting is Business is we are going for the career, for the longevity, not necessarily for the stardom, which is the short term. Even though Mr. Gillespie was only 28 years old at the time, he was full of wisdom. I don't know how he got it. I really don't. But he was a damn good director. I'm talking about artistic director over the entire school, which had an English department in it. It had dance department. We learned tap, jazz, modern dance. I took ballet classes. We had voice. We had singing. It was all encompassing, and he was in charge of the entire thing. He was very influential. And he was tough. And he was demanding. And that was really good. I think in some ways he tried to make it as realistic as he possibly could under the conditions that he had to work under. I remember you didn't get too many second chances. He constantly threw people out of shows and replaced them with others. Just like in real life, nobody cares about your problems. They don't. And so you have to work within that system. And so that's how he created. And I think it was good. Even at a high school level, that was very good training. Either you're in or you're out. It doesn't matter what the reason is. You're either in or you're out. That was his philosophy. You know, you got a whole company of actors and designers and an audience and an opening date coming up that are depending on you. So you have to be there, no matter what. And yes, we were scared of him. We were only 10 to 12 years younger, basically, than he was, or more, a little bit more, some of them. But he managed to scare us. He was kind of scary. For myself, I tried to keep my distance as much as possible. Another one of the other acting teachers, Carol Turner, who was quite famous in the Fort Lauderdale area in her day, was going to direct a production of Taming of the Shrew. There were also other shows going on at the time. So there were not too many people to pull from. So there were no auditions. It was basically, you're going to play this part, you're going to play that part, and you're going to play this part. Well, of course, she pointed at me and said, would you please play Baptista, which was Kate's father, if you know anything about Taming of the Shrew. I threw a fit. For 2 years, I had been playing nothing but similar types of characters. And actually, if I continued to throw a fit and didn't do it, and continued to behave like a prima donna, they would have had to cancel the show. I mean, there was no way to do the show without me playing Baptista. So, in essence, I was holding the show hostage because I wanted to play Petruchio. Now, everybody acknowledged, both Mrs. Turner and Mr. Glass acknowledged that I would be a good Petruchio. But there were 3 or 4 other people who could play Petruchio, but no one in that school could play Baptista. No one. He said exactly what I'm going to say here, paraphrasing 38 years later. But it's always stuck with me, even though I didn't listen to it. And now, looking back, I know that he was right. Some of us are slow learners. He began by talking about a little bit about his career as an actor. He said, why would you want to be a star? You have all the responsibility. Character actors and bit part players don't have any of the responsibility. So he gave an example of a production of Hamlet that he was in. Well, he played either Francisco or Marcellus in Act 1, Scene 1. It's the only scene that Francisco and Marcellus are in, right at the beginning. You never see them again. And that was it. So he said the production was about 4 hours long. They were on stage for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then they can go out and do whatever they want and had to be back by curtain call. You can go out drinking, then go see a movie if it's short enough, which it probably is. Most movies are about an hour and a half. You have time to go see a movie. You can sit in the green room and read a book. I guess today you can watch something on your phone or take a distance learning course, online course, something like that. Plenty of things to do. So his point was, here they're getting a paycheck for very little work, and then they can go out and do whatever they want, and then come back, make sure they're back by curtain call. Do their scene, and collect a paycheck. Very, very practical advice. The most practical advice I've ever gotten. Most actors will argue that we're artists and we want to explore different types of parts. And that's normal also. That's a normal thing to want to do. But in reality, if you are an actor, and that most actors are going to be unemployed most of the time, isn't it better to draw a paycheck and get yourself known not necessarily with the audience, but draw notice with producers and directors who see that you come in, that you're professional, that you're mature, that you take this seriously, that you know your lines, you can hit your marks, you can take direction, and that they will cast you again and again and again in character parts. Instead of building up your fame with the audience, building up your fame within the community, that you are reliable, that you don't come to rehearsals drunk or stoned, that you're on time, that you don't cause problems, that you don't fight with other actors or the directors, that you're not second-guessing the director every 15 minutes, that you don't behave like I did during Taming of the Shrew, or before Taming of the Shrew, like a real prima donna. During Taming of the Shrew, I was fine once we got going. It's about who you're working for. It's about building the reputation within the community of performers, directors, producers, designers, yes, them too. And being easy to work with, being able to take direction, being able to know your lines when you need to know your lines. Let me put it another way. Being humble and grateful. And your call is for 6:30 p.m. for an 8 o'clock curtain, that you don't stroll in at 6:45 or 7 o'clock, that you are there at 6:30 or before. And the stage manager isn't pulling out what little hair he has, wondering where you are, and telling your understudy to wear your costume for that evening. Knowing when to talk and knowing when to shut up. These are the types of things that he told me. And I didn't listen. Because I was already professional and mature. I hit my mark. I didn't usually act like a prima donna like I did on right before we started rehearsals on Taming of the Shrew. I didn't behave that way. But I was just so frustrated from the artistic point of view. I was very frustrated from that. But I didn't see the value of it either. That I was building something. I was building a reputation within the industry. Which is what he was trying to get me to see. Because I liked that artistic part. I wanted to explore different characters. I wasn't even really thinking about the audience so much. I think most actors think about themselves too much. But those who have the longest careers are concerned about building the reputation that they have as not necessarily great actors. Great actors, as somebody who is a director, I will tell you this. I rather have the less talented actor who doesn't give me any grief and who comes in on time and who comes in sober than the one that's going to cause a lot of drama between the rest of the cast and crew. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. So actors need to be thinking about how we can make ourselves valuable to a production, to the cast, to a producer, to a director, so that we will get more work later. What I'm not talking about is brown-nosing, sticking your head so far up some producer's ass. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being ready, willing, and able to serve your producer, your director, for the purpose of longevity.